let's start with folding phones. Now, Apple has not made a folding phone, but there are plenty of Android phones out there in all kinds of
Hmm.
form factors, right? And MKBHD dropped a video on one of the latest ones. It was a really slick looking foldable phone. And when it was open, it seems like it's about the size of my iPad mini. And then when you
Right.
fold it closed, right, it's just a thicker phone, but it had that outside screen, so it was about the size of an iPhone 15 Pro Max. And
Hmm.
that got me thinking, what do I want? And then today, or this week, I was listening to another podcast, and they talked about a rumor that Apple decided to work on a folding iPad first before they work on a folding phone. And the hosts on that show were actually in favor of the iPad, but I think I fall into I think I want the folding iPhone before I want the folding iPad. So,
Right.
Jason, what are your thoughts on foldable devices?
So it's still, to me, seems more gimmicky than it is functional, right? I just don't see a need for that for most people, right? When you fold the phone or the device, so are they tablets, or I guess they're still considered phones, right? You fold it and it's kind of a mini tablet, but it's still a phone. It is too thick of a phone, right? To get those two halves that fold together. So if you use it in phone mode, I mean, it is a pretty big brick, right? The few that I've seen, right? Samsung has the Z Fold or something like that, and I think LG has one. I maybe getting the companies mixed up, but so in its phone mode, I think it's inconvenient to use, right? Because it's so thick, the halves are folding. I don't know if they lock into place. I just hadn't played around with it so much. And then you say, okay, that's the one mode. But then when you fold it open to use it in tablet mode, it's just a tiny tablet, right? So it's too small. Now, again, not everybody needs a 12.9 inch iPad, but it's smaller than even most of the current ones are smaller than the iPad mini, right? So you get two half efforts in phone mode and in tablet mode that I just don't see it there yet. It's probably too soon for me, right? Everybody that's early adopters, they're all just beta testers, and that same old rant that we don't like to hear from people. But uh, yeah, I think it's just too gimmicky for me right now. What about you?
So, I mean, think of my use case, right? I love my iPad mini because I
Right,
read a ton. So if it would fold open to the size of an iPad mini, that's one less device
right.
that I have to worry about, right? And when it comes to the thickness, definitely they get thicker, but you know me, I worry about these phones getting so thin that I'm going to
Yeah,
destroy them, right? That they're never going to last the way I use stuff. I mean, I can't imagine uh, a credit card that, that's extreme, right? A credit
right.
card thick phone having hit the tile,
Right, right, and
right?
not disintegrating.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So I think I'm in favor of that. Definitely more so than the folding iPad. I mean, I don't see a need to have an 11-inch iPad that I can unfold and now it's
Mhm,
a 13 or a 14-inch iPad. That's not my use case. I mean, people talk about I don't travel a whole lot, right? And so
right,
maybe people that travel would want something like that. Um, but I do like the idea of even if I put the camera bump aside, right? If I put two
mhm,
iPhone 15 Pro Maxes on top of each other, I don't feel like that would be too thick or too heavy for me,
right,
but maybe. I don't know. I think that would be great. And again, it solves my particular use case issue.
right, right, and I just don't think with all of these years of just having that one black sliver of glass, everyone's, integrated using phones into their lives. I just don't see how adding an extra phone and folding it will make a huge difference. Now, there's some people that would like it, right? There's tons of tech nerds that would love to have technology like that years ago. People wanted, oh, remember the modular phone years ago where you can, one company, I can't remember the name of the company, but they were working on, oh, you could just have this phone or you could just upgrade your camera the next year if you want to just purchase the camera, if you just wanted to purchase more RAM and it was modular. We thought that was the way it was going to go. but it seems like people just want you to just hand them a device and it just works. I don't
Yeah.
know. It may be it's something cool to have, but it just seemed like two half measures, right? You have a not so good tablet and a not so good phone, both of those devices to me. That's just my opinion.
And maybe that's why they haven't taken off beyond
Right,
kind of the geeks, right? That one of the Samsung was a flip fold that was basically folded down like a flip phone, and then when you
right,
opened it up, it was like a phone. But that's phone, not phone tablet, right?
right,
And that's not what I
right,
would want. I would want phone tablet. And then I guess the other outstanding question is, will Apple figure out a way to do it that more people will want it,
right.
right?
Because we,
And
we always say is when Apple does it, that's when it's time, right?
yeah,
We're talking about the Vision Pro. There's been sorts of VR and AR headsets or whatever, but now that Apple's entered the game, same with watches. There were fitness bands, there were watches, smart watches, and things like that. But when Apple entered the game, when they stepped on the field, they made it more useful to everyone, right?
yeah.
So it may be the same. When Apple gets around making a foldable tablet, it may be better than what we would expect from a device like that. So
And then maybe the other market that this starts to address is, which is something that's come up a little bit more than I expected it to, especially here in the US, but this is the market where people only have one computer and
right,
it's their phone, right? I mean, you and I live in
right.
this world where that would never work for us, but a lot of people, that's all they have. And if I think of like a teenager, like my grandkids coming up in 5 years wanting a phone or something like that, right? If they wanted that, but they still wanted to be able to watch shows and
Hmm.
do some of those other kinds of things, would that be okay? And if it is your only computer, right? But I can fold it
Hmm.
out to a iPad mini size and I can connect a keyboard or whatever to it and do a few things that I need to do,
Right.
right? Does that make more sense? So I guess we'll see.
Yeah.